Lando Norris is a very good driver, but there's something strange going on with him. Overall, I'd say his performance at the Chinese Grand Prix of 2024 was a very solid weekend for Lando. He scored pole position in the sprint, and in the race would even finish P2 ahead of Perez with a good strategy and a strong drive. But the start of this sprint race shows us a problem he's been struggling with for a lot of the season. First of all, the Chinese Grand Prix and the sprint race were pretty good themselves. The Grand Prix wasn't the most exciting, I'll be honest, with the issues under the safety car of Stroll rear-ending someone and Magnussen's terrible restart really taking the highlight of the race, with the rest of it being the usual jostling for positions we've been used to in 2024, and Verstappen clearly ahead of everybody. Fernando Alonso would also provide, again, just brilliant driving, especially in comparison with his teammate. Fernando yet again secured good points for the team, fought for podiums in the sprint race, and it was his teammate who could barely even grasp onto points, in a car that is definitely not one that should be fighting with the likes of Haas and Williams. But the main thing I'm here to say is about Lando Norris. His driving has again been on top level this season. He's outperforming Oscar Piastri, which is exactly what he needs to be doing. But why is this man allergic to winning? At the start of the sprint race, he was on pole. He didn't have as good a launch as Lewis, with Hamilton for some reason showing up for the sprint and then forgetting how to drive in the qualifying session later on. But he was putting Norris under pressure at the start of the sprint race. Norris then just took a little bit too much speed through one of the corners, ran off wide, and dropped down quite a few positions. And from there, he just wasn't able to make his way back to the front, not like rival Max Verstappen, who had a bit of a shaky qualifying session, but put it all together for the race. And again, like, it's not just Lando suffering from this inconsistency, I think Hamilton is as well. When the track was wet, those drivers showed us what they were capable of. The guys who we all expect to be fast, the ones who've proven themselves, Alonso, Verstappen, and Hamilton, were all extremely quick in the rain. But even then, Lando was able to separate himself from them by over a second and a half. So it just doesn't really make sense that then Hamilton qualifies near the bottom of the pack for qualifying, despite fighting for the win and P2 in the sprint. And that was Lando's sprint to lose. The McLarens have been faster than the Mercedes the whole season, and there's no reason why that wouldn't be the case in Shanghai. Sure, Max Verstappen might have overtaken Norris, and at the end of the day, if he did, I wouldn't blame Norris. I wouldn't say he lost a win. That's just what we expect to happen at this point. But it's disappointing Norris didn't put himself in the position to even fight Max Verstappen, and instead just got caught with the rest of the pack, who for the most part were being held up behind Alonso's again great defending, which he also again got a penalty that I'm not sure I agree with. I genuinely don't know with Lando. He's such a good driver, and I think if you were going to argue that, it's just stupid. Like, he can drive well. It's just putting it together and keeping it consistent keeps being an issue. Again, I'm going to use the Qatar sprint. He should have been on pole, and he kept making qualifying mistakes when he clearly had the fastest car over a lap in that session. And that's what gave the win instead to Oscar Piastri, his teammate. And the thing as a driver is, the more things like this happen, the more it just keeps knocking your confidence a little bit. And I think that's maybe what we're seeing with Lando. He shouldn't be making mistakes like that on the start, but when he does, it's always at a time that matters. And that's what separates him from, let's say, another driver who has been winning races recently, Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz has been the one driver I've noticed that really when it's mattered, he's remained consistent. Whereas some of the guys who I'd say are maybe quicker over a lap or even over a race distance like Leclerc and Norris, they have been faster, but they haven't been the full package like Sainz and Alonso maybe have. And that's just the difference in types of driving. And in F1, you need a good balance of everything. Sometimes being the fastest driver isn't necessarily the entire deal. Sometimes being more consistent and being able to think your way through a race can actually be what leads to you winning, instead of just being the fastest man in that car. Because if you're going off the track, if you're making mistakes, if you're not putting yourself in the prime position to win the race, there's sort of no point having that speed. And the only other thing I really want to say is that, you know what, Lando Norris might not be able to win a race, but at least he's not Lance Stroll, whose form has just been incomprehensible. Like, what is genuinely going on with that guy? I have no idea. Also, it's been interesting to see that Lando, at least at Shanghai, seemed kind of clear of Piastri. At the end of the day, please subscribe if you would like to see Lando get that first win. I'm not sure if it can help break the curse, but I hope it doesn't go on for much longer, as Lando has been leading laps, which is something only Red Bull and Ferrari have done this year so far, aside from him. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye!